everyone, and I mean everyone, every single one, not just every other one or the ones with nice clothes. I'm sure you all have very nice clothes. Hi, it's Bob here. Let's get the lake going in the background. Oh, you can get rid of the music. There we go. Okay, welcome to the lake. It's the Lakeside Law of Attraction Minutes with Bob Doyle from The Secret. That's right. Tell no one. You can tell people. Okay, now it's time for, you know the drill. The beginning of everything, I have to first I have to make sure I'm looking at the broadcast that you're looking at, assuming that you are looking at it, whether it's recorded or... I actually trust the process. See, I know now that I'm viewing. Why? What do you mean it's hard to find, Marion? What do you mean I'm hard to find? I'm always at the same place. I'm right here every Wednesday at noon Pacific for the Law of Attraction Minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, I have just posted what I always post, the first post of my day on these things, and that is links, linkity link. The first two links are to be notified about these broadcasts. One will go to your desktop. Another will go to your Facebook message. It's very obvious which ones will do which. The third, which I also included in the description of this video, if all went well, which it did. Yes. Oh, except, oh no, it's got the wrong link. Let me see if I can edit that real quick while I'm doing this. That would be wild. I don't know why. I thought I changed this. Tweet LOA. All right, so if you click bobdoyleshow.com/tweet LOA, it will include the hashtag Bob Doyle LOA in it. And you know what happens then, don't you? You want to raise your hand and tell everybody. This is what happens. Your tweet appears in the live tweet stream right here in front of everybody. So everyone will get to see that you contributed to this. Hi, Jomati, or Gomati, and Christine, and Patricia. Nice to have you all here. So we got a few things, and look, last week, I'm going to scroll down and just share something with you, a couple of things. Last week when we did this, we reached 178,000 people and had 613 views. That's a lot. It's not millions, but it's a lot. And it's because of people like you sharing and liking and commenting. So if you're in the Law of Attraction conversation and you've been joining me here for a few weeks now and you know that you get value out of this, will you please share with your friends and family so they too can benefit from whatever it is we do here each Wednesday at noon Pacific, right here on Facebook Live, on the Bob Doyle LOA page, where you are right now. Hi, Kathy. Kathy is on top of things. She follows me over at the Bob Doyle Show fan page. So few people actually go there, but I'm trying to give reasons for people to go check me out over there for that. That's the Bob Doyle Show, not this. I'd actually kind of told myself I was not going to mention the Bob Doyle Show today, and once again, I have lied. Oh, the integrity problems I'm going to have with myself later. So look, there's a few things I want to talk about today, but mostly I want to focus on your questions. I didn't really come here with an overall topic, although I do want to share something with you that I think will be beneficial to you, I hope. And hi, Misty. Nice to have you here. And Dawn. And Jerry. Awesome. All right, we got the regulars here. So first of all, I want to comment on one other thing. Like right underneath this post right now it's a repost of a video I did whenever I did it. A year ago, basically, talking about how the Law of Attraction Periscope series is going to start tomorrow. Keep in mind that all of these posts here on this page that are the LOA scopes, they're old. They're replays. They're being fed automatically in here. If you look, like I'm looking at the picture right now, I'm 40 pounds heavier, and I can tell. I look at all these things and I go, oh my God, I'm swollen. I look like I got stung by a bee. That's my That's how I see myself. And my hair's all messed up. And I'm like, really? You did a periscope like that? And a lot of my old periscopes look like that. Like I didn't look in the mirror first. Anyway, I looked in the mirror today and decided to go with this anyway. So I'm well aware of what I look like today, and I hope that's okay for you. Let's see. Marion says, I had a dream which proved to me that although I think I'm okay, my unconscious believes I'm not worthy. How do I deal with that? Okay, worthiness. I'm going to write that down, and I'm going to get to all of these things. Okay, so here's what I want to do. First of all, I want to share this little tidbit / story with you, because how many of you have lost items before? Lost items, and you can't find them anywhere, right? Keys, wallets, or more, right? So I want to share a story because I've misplaced my share of things in the past, but I've got two things that are law of attraction related stories that I want to share with you today, and it's something that you can try if you lose an item. So my biggest story, thank you, Jerry. My biggest story, well, I shouldn't say it's my biggest. They're both big because they both demonstrate something, I guess, really powerful. So here we go. Several years ago, I had just gotten a new iPad, and I'd had it maybe 2 or 3 days. And I was on a plane flying from LA back to Atlanta, because this was before I moved here. And got home and went to bed, and the next morning I woke up, oh my God, I don't have my iPad. And I realized I must have left it on the plane in the pocket, right in front of me. By the way, I never put anything in there ever again. And I would recommend that you don't either. Anyway, so at least in anything that I want to end up at home with. So I'm freaking out because it's my iPad. I didn't have security on it. It had access, to all my email. Basically, it's just, you know what I mean? You lose your device, and if it's not well protected, which mine wasn't because it was brand new, and I hadn't really, I'd gotten all my stuff on there and gotten everything all connected up. Anyway, I was freaking out, as you can imagine. And so I called Lynn Rose, for those of you who don't know, the light of my life, who's in the other room right now, not watching this broadcast. And I said, oh my God, here's what happened, blah, blah, blah. So she brought up that we do, it's basically a very old law of attraction technique, even though it may not be called a law of attraction technique, but we certainly use it. And our friend Kyle Cease has his own name for it, and we were referring to it as Kyle-legoing back then, because that's the process that he called it. But it's basically future pacing. So the concept behind this is that she and I were having a conversation about how great it was when I found the iPad. Right so I called the airport basically, and I said I lost it, and they're looking lost and found. It's nowhere. Have to call back, come in, all this stuff. It was a major hassle. Right, had to go into the airport only to find out that it hadn't been found. You go to lost and found on these regular basis. I'm calling all the time. I'd pretty much written it off. Because I'm thinking someone finds an iPad in a plane, brand new, all that. I don't know. It's just the whole. I just figured it was gone forever. Anyway, we start having this conversation about how great it was to find the iPad and the feeling of relief and what it was like when I got the call from the airport that they'd found it and all of these things. And really trying to get into, Lynn will tell you, it's really hard for me to pull me into doing that kind of scenario. I don't know why. It's a very powerful and effective law of attraction technique, but I think there's something in my ego that says I don't want to go through this whole process of pretending that it is there and then not there, because then I'll feel stupid or whatever. That's old Bob thinking that's still alive. But in any case, Lynn coaxed it out of me. We did the whole exercise. So later that night, it was about 10 o'clock at night, Eastern time, and I believe I'm talking to Lynn via Skype or FaceTime or something, and the airport calls, we found your iPad. Exactly as we talked about it. And of course, the feelings, of that relief, of the gratitude and all of that I had generated in that exercise with her came flooding in, right? All right, Jomati, I'm going to try and address that if I can remember. So long and short of it is, this impossible thing of this iPad being left on a plane that had been, could have been, it was flying all around the country. It went somewhere and back a couple of times before that iPad ended up in the lost and found. Anyway, drove down, got it, ta-da. 2 days ago, so I've had this issue, and this is my own thing that I'm examining, but I have this issue with this one particular credit/debit card that I use for just about everything. And for years, it's been either lost or compromised. Like every year, I have to get a new one because somehow somebody gets the number, even though it's in my possession. I don't know how I'm attracting it. Don't ask. I'll figure it out, and I'll get back to you, okay? But anyway, so I had it the other day. I'm doing laundry. I went to the bank. I did all this stuff. And then the next day, oh my God, the card's gone. And I just gotten my latest replacement card. Second one in 2 months. And I'm just flabbergasted. It actually, Lynn will tell you, it actually took the sales right out of my day. It was like, seriously? I did this again? Because now I'm upset, not just because it's lost, but because this keeps happening. So now I'm looking at what is going on. Still haven't really figured that one out. But here's what I did. So I said, all right, I got on Google because I looked everywhere, obviously. I went through pants. I went through clothes. I just did everything. I looked literally everywhere I could in this place that made sense. And so now I'm like going, okay, well, that strategy isn't working. So I get online and I go, how to locate lost objects. And I'm actually looking for sort of a woo-woo answer. I'm looking for something that isn't retrace your steps, all that practical stuff, which is the first thing I found. And I had done all that stuff. So I found another post. I don't remember who it was or whatever. I would attribute them. But it doesn't really matter because it's such a classic thing that I should have just immediately gone to it. But this guy says, I'm not woo-woo. I'm not any of this. But this process has worked for me finding things I've lost without fail for years in no less than a day. So, of course, at this point, I'm kind of desperate. Oh, Michelle, it is. It's so great when you find it when you think it's gone. The feeling. Anyway, so this was yesterday around 3 or so. I'm laying in the bed, sort of meditating or whatever, and just trying to figure this out. And the whole concept is, it's very law of attraction. Although he didn't use this term and would probably deny, based on what he wrote, that he would even believed in any of this. But he did this. It was about visualizing the object, every detail that you can, and then having like this silver cord, imagining this silver cord coming out from like your heart area, going out to wherever the item is, wrapping itself around the item, and then pulling it back to you, and then getting into that feeling of having it, being reunited with it, the gratitude, all of that stuff. I'm looking at every number in my mind. I'm feeling the numbers under my fingers, like I am experiencing having this card again. And then the idea is, to just wait and be patient. Stop looking for it. Just let it show up. So today I wake up and, still can't find it or whatever. I look on my phone and I realize I've got 3 voice messages that I've missed. One of them was from 3:30 yesterday afternoon from the office at our apartment complex calling to say that they had my card. Someone had turned it in. No activity had been put on the card. Seemingly impossible. I don't know who it was that found it. I don't know where they found it. The fact that they took it all the way up to the office and turned it in. All of these things are just like, what? And yet, right in alignment with the exercise that I did and law of attraction principles. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's my lesson to you today. If you've lost something, don't be afraid to try the woo-woo, because it works. So, Lynn came in just in time to love that, right? So, Leslie, by the way, yes, I have your book, and I don't know if I responded to this or not. Leslie is an author who wrote a book and sent it to me to review. But Leslie, are you aware that it is printed as one long paragraph with no breaks whatsoever? It's very difficult to read. That's the problem I'm having, because I open it up and it's like, wow, there are no breaks whatsoever. It's just one long sentence. And it's a long book and it's difficult. And I just got to tell you that presents a challenge for me to be able to get into it and commit to it. Because it's too much. But anyway, we can talk about that offline. But I wanted, since you're here and you're addressing it, just wanted to let you know that that's what I'm up against. So look, now let's get into the law of attraction content, shall we? Because that's what we're all here for. So I'd love it if you'd share. All right, and tweet too. By the way, did the is anybody tweeted? Let's just take a look at the message feed, which is hiding from me at the moment. Where the heck is it? Where's the tweet feed? I'm going to find it. There it is. Okay, no one has tweeted. Now, children, ladies and gentlemen, tweet with @Bob Doyle. I'm sorry, pound hashtag Bob Doyle LOA. Now, if you just click the link as part of this description or in my first post that says bobdoyleshow.com/tweet LOA, a box will pop up. It's pre-populated. You don't have to do anything except click send. And then you'll show up here on the live thing. But for now, since no one's doing that, I'll just go back to telling everybody who I am. Okay, so let's talk about this. Now, what I've done here is, again, this is about your questions, and I'm going to do my very best to keep up with your comments. But let me address 2 from last time that weren't answered, and then we'll get into what you're posting now. Okay? So, one of them last week, and I didn't write down who these were from, but the question was, what is the single most important thing to know about the law of attraction? And there's all sorts of different little nuances, techniques, whatever that you should know. But the single most important thing to know is that it's real. And if you can and basically just how it works. And it's very simple about, this moving in concept, moving yourself into vibrational alignment with what it is that you're trying to attract. And you do that simply by adjusting your emotional state. Okay, to be in alignment with how you want to feel when whatever vision you have has come to fruition. And in that alignment, that realignment that you do on your own through just intention, you generate those emotions, and then you create a vibration that is then that magnet or whatever to those circumstances that create your vision. That's why you use vision boards. That's why you use visualization techniques. By the way, someone asked about visualization techniques, wanted me to address that. And that's kind of what I was talking about before with the credit card and the iPad. These are all visualization techniques designed to create an emotional response that is in alignment with how you want to feel when this thing you're wanting to attract has come. So that's basically the most important thing to know, is that it's really about the alignment. Thank you for your tweets. I am now, Marion has tweeted twice, so you will be seeing her name twice. That's right, there's no limits. I've put no limits to the number of tweets you can post. You can dominate this if you want to. But I also want you to kind of stay present and be attentive. Okay? So, all right, so Marion, you need help in visualizing. All right, let's talk about that. What is your challenge? Go ahead and please write your comments. Some people say, well, I can't form clear pictures. You don't have to. You don't have to form clear pictures. Some people can do that, some people don't. I have got a whole webinar on visualization. And one of the first things we talk about is that visualization does not necessarily mean that you create images in your mind that look realistic. Some people can do that, some people can't. However, I will invite you to try this, if that is your issue. Hold on, Lynn says, do you see mine? I don't know why it's not showing up on your system. No, are you doing hashtag Bob Doyle LOA? Hashtag Bob Doyle LOA. Because Marion's is showing up. Okay. So you don't have to have... here was what I was going to say. If you have a problem creating images in your mind, ask yourself this question. Just pose this question to yourself. If I could see images easily in my mind, what would that be like? Just try it a few times. But look, it doesn't matter. A thought can be a visualization. As long as it creates, basically you're stimulating your imagination in such a way that it creates an emotional response. That's the purpose of visualization when it comes to law of attraction. So whether that's through writing a list where there's no picture involved, it's just words, but it helps spark that feeling, or it is a vision board, which is actually another form of visualization. It's just external outside of you, but it is visualization. Or just thinking about what it is that you want and not getting so worried about the pictures themselves. So that's why I'm asking you, Marion, you're still just saying, I just seem to have a problem with it. I don't understand what that means. Problem with what? Can you not hold the thought of what you want? Is it about the pictures? Where is the challenge? Because I think most of the time we're just making it too hard on ourselves. We don't need to. We're putting pressure on ourselves, and we're thinking that we're visualizing wrong. And by inserting that whole thought that I'm doing it wrong, it screws up the vibration of having it now and all the other things that you want. So, there's just no reason to obsess with, am I visualizing right? Just think about what you want and how it's going to make you feel. If you see pictures along with that, great. If you feel like you need pictures, then cut them out and do a traditional vision board. Whatever you have to do to spark it. Lynn says Marion must see in pictures because she's an artist, just needs to paint her vision as she lives her life. That's a great idea. Why don't you paint your vision? Paint your vision. Pretty much like in The Secret, I think there was that one part that kind of honestly makes me roll my eyes a little bit. But the whole thing about the artist who wasn't having success with women because he was drawing them all facing the wall or something like that. I don't know. This is kind of a weird part. But painting what you want so that you can look at it. Plus, it's coming from you, which makes it even more personal and more connected. So I think that's a fantastic suggestion. Now, Lynn, she just posted paintyourvision.com. Is that a real URL, or are you giving her a business idea? Because I know how you operate. Mind movies, yes, another form of visualization. You could do mindmovies.com. All those things are great. So if you're struggling with visualizing, now the word is meaningless to me. If you're struggling with visualization, it's probably because you're trying to keep it all in here and you're judging and assessing how you're doing. And if you could just let go of that, that would really, really help. Okay, so Lynn didn't know if that was real or not. So you better jump on that, somebody with an entrepreneurial mind. Okay. Interesting, Marion says, okay, I see. So see, she even uses visual language. I'll bet you didn't even notice that about yourself. But that's why I'm here, is to point these things out. Okay. All right. So that's a little on visualization. And then again, the single most important thing to know about the LOA is that it does work. And, and I think right up there is you can't hide from the universe. So this whole thing that we talked about last week about the difference between knowing and believing is you got to know it, because believing it is going to give you wimpy, unpredictable results if that's all you do is, quote unquote, believe it. If you know it, see, that's when it all falls into place, because when you know how the law of attraction works and you want something, you'll just, because you know it, you will act in alignment with it. If you just kind of believe it, then I promise you most people will just fake their way through it. They'll say they're doing it, or they'll go through the exercises, right? They'll do their vision boards, they'll meditate, they'll do, quote unquote, everything, but the inner work is still, I don't know, we'll see. And you can't hide that vibration of doubt from the rest of the universe. You can't. It's there, and if you doubt it, it's going to slow the process down. Or if you feel like you're unworthy, you can want and desire and visualize, but if you don't feel like you're worthy of it, then, you're basically pushing it away. And someone brought up the worthiness question, which I'll get right back to in just a second. Let me just address the other question that was asked. No, you can't hide, Lynn. Hi, Pinky. Nice to have you here again. The other one, how do you know? Oh, this was asked several times by one person last week. How do you know you're in alignment with what you want? Well, first of all, there's a general feeling of being on track. The thing is that once you know the law of attraction and trust it, you don't have to have that question. And having that question, how do I know, means you're constantly assessing, and it's suggesting that you're not. And if that's what you're putting out there, I may not be in alignment, then that is what your reality is going to show up as an indicator of your doubt. See, that's the thing, ladies and germs. The law of attraction is very precise. It's very exact. It is what it is. And you can't make it something that it's not because you want to, or because it would be easier that way. And that's what a lot of people, including teachers of it, are trying to do. They're trying to package it up into this simple 2 or 3 step process, which doesn't take into account the science of it and what's really going on for the individual. So the law of attraction is always working. I promise you. Every single moment of every day, your reality is determined by how energy operates, how it's coming together to form your experience of reality, including your interpretation of it, your feelings about it. It's all energy, all of it. It all follows rules. And law of attraction is one of those main rules that it follows in terms of how it attracts and comes together and forms reality. And you can't go, well, I want it to work this way so that it's like a magic wand, but I don't want to have to deal with any of my stuff or my doubt or I just want it to happen. Or prove it to me and then I'll believe it. No, that's not going to happen either. Because if you're looking at it through a skeptical lens, like, come on, prove it to me. I understand that you may be jaded, you may be angry, you may be whatever, but you're never going to see the proof through that when you're looking through that lens. Someone could show you example after example, and what are you going to do? You say, oh, well, that's coincidence. That's coincidence. Because you don't get, there's no coincidence. There's a reason for everything. It doesn't have to be some grand fatalistic reasoning. It's an energetic reason. Something happens to you in your life because you are in alignment with it somehow. And it's not because you intended it. It's not because you even necessarily wanted it. It's because somehow you moved into alignment with it. And that can happen in a lot of different ways. The goal here is to be more intentional with what you're aligning with, because so many of us are on autopilot. And then we wonder why all this stuff shows up the way that it does, and it's, we don't like it or whatever, it's not surprising, and then we go, oh, it's that law of attraction stuff doesn't work, because in fact I was focusing on how much money I want, and now I lost it all, or I don't have any, because you were really focusing on the lack of money, not on having it. You think you were, but if you check in with how you were feeling, it's like all your attention is really on the lack of money you have, and that's why you want the money. Yes, I'm speaking in generalizations. I have to, because I'm addressing a group. So how do you get rid of the underlying negativity, Misty Lee Mitchell asks. Well, there's lots of ways. And one of the ways, we've talked about release techniques like EFT, Sedona method, all of these other things. There's so many different ways. And some of it depends on what is the nature of the negativity, because I like some techniques for some types of negativity more than others. EFT is a good general go-to. PS Tech is another one that deals great with trauma that you've had or that you feel like you've had in the past. If you've got an event that did you damage, you can go back there and neutralize the energy around that event so it doesn't have to have that kind of hold on you anymore. Paul says, I think too hard instead of letting it flow. I try to focus on end result, but I can't stop looking at the reality at times. Yes, Paul, that's your ego, because your ego likes logic. It likes reasons. It likes to know. It needs to make sense, because the ego wants control. And if something happens in a way that you can't figure out, it feels out of control and it doesn't like that. So it's going to try and reel you back in and go, no, this has to make sense before you're going to allow it to happen. And I'm telling you that the law of attraction did not ever work for me until I got rid of this whole idea about it being reasonable. That's why my program was called Wealth Beyond Reason. Because you have to suspend that whole reasoning thing. Because our reasoning, our definition of what's reasonable, first of all, it's all individual, but it's based on stuff we've learned from other people, which a lot of it is based in lack and limitation and not seeing the big picture, not acknowledging and honoring the infinite nature of the universe, and just really what a magical place it is that we live in. We've built ourselves into this construct of logic and reason, and A plus B equals whatever A plus B equals. We've created a lot of rules and restrictions in a universe that if we just read a science book, we see, wow, there's a lot of stuff going on there that we can't explain. But it's the ego that keeps you in check, because it doesn't want you to end up feeling disappointed or feeling stupid or whatever. That's all the stuff that's going on a subconscious level. That's why knowing it makes all the difference, because then you got the ego has nothing to argue with. And that's why in my programs I deal immediately with the science of it and don't ask anybody to take a blind leap of faith, because I get it. We live in a rational society. Could I use LOA to help you with your site? That, Pinky, I've been thinking about that since you brought up your situation. Carol Look, who's an EFT practitioner, has a whole course on using EFT for improving eyesight. And, obviously I shouldn't say obviously, but I am on board that with this idea that the majority of our physical ailments are emotionally related, or at least emotionally perpetuated. Like we may come in contact with a virus, for example, or something that might make us sick, or we might even bring in a cancerous cell, let's say. Okay, but the state of our body, which is determined in large part by our emotional state, is going to determine what does our body do with that. How strong is it? What state is it in? Can it fight this off? Or are we feeling sorry for ourselves? I'm not saying you're doing this, Pinky. I'm just using examples, okay? That there might be other things going on. And Louise Hay has that book, You Can Heal Yourself. And it's really interesting about how, the tie-ins between the types of physical issues that we have and what's going on with us emotionally. Like a lot of times people will have back pain or shoulder pain when they feel burdened by stuff, right? Actual pains in the neck if they're being annoyed, or vision problems if they've lost sight of their big picture vision. Things like that. So I'm not a doctor, and I'm not going to make any crazy ass promises about the law of attraction healing you or anybody, but I do believe in infinite possibility, and I do know that there's plenty of science out there linking our emotional state and other things that have nothing to do with actual, germs or conditions contributing to our health state. And of course, you hear story after story about miraculous healings that doctors throw their hands up and go, "That I don't know how that happened." So absolutely, there's all sorts of possibility out there. Yeah, so the Louise Hay book is, it's great stuff, and I wish a lot of people would read it and take it a little bit more seriously. Misty says, I find LOA has been bringing me opportunities and people that will better my life, and it dawned on me in some way I've attracted you. Oh, and it's just to forward my learning to get me what I want. Awesome. As I have attracted you and everybody else here. The questions I get from here help me, and it allows me also to do what I love doing, which is this, love connecting and answering these questions. But honestly, I'd be a lot, I just, what do we got to do to make this party bigger, guys? I'm serious. All right, so worthiness. Years ago, I did two little audios. At the time, it was part of the Wealth Beyond Reason program, and I called them mini seminars or whatever I called them, about deserving, which is basically the same idea. What makes us worthy? What makes us deserving of what it is that we want? And the essence of those recordings is the fact that you are here. You're here. You exist. You have a brain. You have imagination. You have desires. You have passions. You have all of those things. That means you are worthy of receiving them. And whatever happened in your life to make you feel less than worthy of receiving everything that you want is just a thing that happened outside of you and doesn't have anything to do with truth. And so it takes sometimes looking at all the things that contributed to your feeling of unworthiness in your life, and being able to go, oh, okay, well, that wasn't true. That wasn't about me. That was about them, because it always is. If anything is making you feel unworthy, I promise you it's based on a lie or misinformation one way or the other. And it's just about how willing are you to allow yourself to be worthy. A lot of times people will want to be worthy. They'll quote unquote say they know or they believe that they are worthy, but they just can't get there. And it's because they don't know. They don't know. They believe they should be worthy, but they don't know they are worthy. Otherwise they'd feel worthy. And a lot of those people will hear me say this and other people say this, and they still won't believe it. Because whatever message they got early in their life was so strong, or delivered under whatever conditions to get it in there so deep, that then maybe led to a whole series of things. Because now you're in alignment with this idea that, I'm not worthy. And if you believe that on any level, you're going to then attract situations that perpetuate that belief unless you do something about it. So let's say you get that message as a child, you never do anything about it. You start looking at everything that happens to you as a gauge of whether or not you're worthy or not, and you make these judgments about yourself that you're not worthy. Now you're an adult, you got 20 something years or more of this constant conversation about your unworthiness, that's going to take some time to undo. And it's going to take a commitment. And to do that, you got to get really, really super excited about where you'd rather be. You know, what is this vision that you want? What is the worthy version of you? What does that life look like? Are you clear on that? If you were worthy, how would your life be different? I'm asking you this question because you need to ask that to yourself. What does the worthy version of you have that the quote unquote not worthy version of you doesn't have? And then what would it be like, and what would it take to become that person? What behaviors would you have to change? What beliefs about yourself would you have to change? What patterns in general? Who would you have to stop listening to? What relationships would you have to cut off? What parts of your circumstances would you have to change to become that person who is worthy? Now, you already are that person. Make no mistake. You are that person. Now you just need to start stepping into being that person, behaving as that person. Okay, so Misty says, okay, Bob, I was told today that if I'm a bad receiver, such as a compliment or someone buy me a meal, whatever, but if I'm a bad receiver, I need to work on that because the universe is trying to give me what I want, but I can't because I'm not a good receiver. What do you think on this? Absolutely. I would say that in a lot of cases, this whole thing like, no, you don't have to do that for me, is very indicative of an overall, I'm not good enough to deserve this thing. And if you can't accept a meal, how are you going to accept your dream life? If you can't accept someone saying nice to you about something, why do you expect that the universe is going to conspire and say, well, wow, they're not even worthy of a compliment, but I'm just going to give them everything they want? Not going to happen. So actually, that's a really good way to start accepting your worthiness, is when people offer something to you, take it graciously. Don't do any of this. Oh, no, you shouldn't. Don't, because even if you accept it, but with all that caveat, you're still not accepting it. You're going to feel like you don't deserve it. You won't enjoy it. Receiving is the other half of giving. And remember that a person, how do you feel when you give? You probably feel great. So you're depriving that greatness, that feeling of this other person who is trying to help you because they want to, because it's going to fill their soul up. You're saying, nope, I'm not going to give you that experience, and I'm not going to get the experience. So basically, you've created a potential really nice situation. I'm going to spit on it for both of us. That's an extreme way to say it, Bob. Well, maybe so. But if you're wondering why things aren't showing up in your life that you want, look there. Okay. Jamadi says, I seem to have a habit of overanalyzing everything. Doesn't that make it difficult? It sure does. And I know this from personal experience because I am an overanalyzer. So, but again, that's your ego. See, you've learned that for whatever reason, and now your ego's got a hold of you, and it's like, nope, if it doesn't make sense, if I can't figure this all out, then it's not going to happen. And I'm going to tell you that the most miraculous things, the biggest shifts, the most amazing manifestations don't make any sense. And if you're waiting for them, or if you demand that they make sense, you're basically saying, I'm not ready for this, or I don't want this, or you're disallowing it. Thank you, Harris. I appreciate that. Blessings to you as well. And Misty, I hope that is something you try from this point on. Okay, let's see if there's anything else here on my... No, so now I'm just asked. Now it's just about your questions. So I'm just staring here at comments now to help you along. What I'm finding that's interesting is that the overall message, like when I first started teaching the law of attraction, and I had the Wealth Beyond Reason program, still do, all these different mini seminars, right? All these different, addressing all these different topics. And I'm finding that over the years, and the more I do this, it really becomes more simple. Like, you can understand all of those things, you can, but it's really slowing you down. I'm learning this about this myself, like taking apart, well, what about relationships? What about money? What about this? It's all the same. Every single bit of it is the same. The only thing that makes it different is our beliefs and ideas around it. So if you got a problem with money, but you don't have a problem with relationships, you're still, if you can manifest relationships, you're an excellent manifester. You just got stuff around money. But there's no different, it works the same. It's still energy. You still got to get in alignment with it. You still got to allow yourself to accept it by feeling worthy or whatever, or inspired. And so that's where we get into the, okay, what's your story about money? That's when we start looking at each of these individual things. But it's not different. It's not that the law of attraction works any differently for any of these things. So that's why my overall message is, it works. Get into alignment with what you want, and make sure your vision is truly inspiring to you, and that you're not, quote unquote, using the law of attraction to solve a problem, but instead to create an inspiring life that you love, that's not contingent or has nothing to do with whatever problems you might be dealing with right now. I know as a human being, you want the problems to go away. And you think, well, if these problems would go away, then I could get clear on my vision. Nice thought, however, it's not the way it works. It just isn't. And I'll bet you your experience proves that. I'll bet you your experience is, I've been working for years trying to solve these problems so I can get clear and see it's not working. It isn't going to work because you're focusing on the problems, which is perpetuating them. I'm not saying ignore them. I'm not saying don't solve them. I'm saying approach them in a completely different way, with a vision of them being solved, and then watch for the universe to provide you with the answers, instead of sitting in here going, well, I'm using the same information I've had for 15 years to try and solve this problem, and for some reason it's still not working because you're using the same information. You're not opening yourself up to what is available to you, which is infinite wisdom, truly. Remember, we are not disconnected from the universe. We are an integral part of it. The energy flows through us just like it flows through the smartest and most prosperous people on the planet. And the rocks and the animals and the trees and the dogs and the thoughts and the air and everything else. You're not broken. You're not immune from this working for you, but your belief systems are whacking the whole thing. And constantly looking for, but no, what's the technique for this? It's all the same. Marion says, since last week's meeting, talking about this, I guess, writing every day and began to work on a new novel, as well as drawing again. Awesome. I bet that feels really good. Harris says, Bob, I go well with my energy, and all of a sudden I feel that it's all blank. Means I lose all the excitement and become flat for a long time. Any suggestions how to make it active all the time? Practice, just keep doing that, and also move into action. In other words, not just like go out and experience. Like when you get that excitement, go out and don't just be excited. Go out and do something to live that excitement. To demonstrate physically, like, yes, I've got this. I am excited because this is happening, not just because if you just stay in your head about everything, it's not going to be long before your ego and your other pieces of your intellect start to show all the other evidence. But if you can go out there and take action on your excitement and live as if it is happening now, then your ego has less to work with, because now you've moved, again, moving physically, because there's the energy that is our thoughts and our beliefs and our visualization and all that, but it's a whole different level of energetic commitment to your vision when you move your body and take action towards it, like writing every day, right? So Harris, in your case, I'd say, well, what are you excited about? What is it that you get excited about and then flatline on? Because I promise you, if you get excited about something and then take action on it and get engaged with it, you'll probably stay excited, as opposed to getting excited about something and then not thinking about it, because then you flatline for lots of different reasons. Well, it's not happening because you're not doing it, right? I'm just using, I think of myself as an example. Like, for example, if I was going to do the Bob Doyle show, I would talk about it for a really long time and then not do it. I would be excited about the idea of doing this show that I've always wanted to do, but then the longer I don't do it, the more my ego goes, but you're not going to do it, so why even put any energy into it? And then flatline, right? So it wasn't until I just hit broadcast and started doing the thing, mistakes and all, and everything else that goes with it, that keeps the excitement going and building. So hopefully that will help. Without specific examples, it's hard to know exactly how to address the question. And in this Q&A, sort of 1 way and a half format. I'm doing the best that I can do. So, folks, if there aren't any more questions right now, I can wrap this up a little early. I usually like to go an hour, but I'm here to serve. So if you're done, no more questions, then we'll just let go. If you're done sharing, you're done tweeting, all of that, I understand. My goal here is to get your questions answered. And I'm going to keep doing this every Wednesday at noon until there are absolutely no more questions posted live or in between. And I have solved all of the law of attraction related questions. So if you're new to me, if you're fairly new to Bob Doyle, Boundless Living, which is the company and what we do, I'll just basically reiterate that I was a featured teacher in the film The Secret, and a whole movie about the law of attraction. And I've been teaching this stuff since 2002 and living it. And I have my ups and my downs, and I learn my hard lessons. And when I do, I turn them around and I teach them the best I can to you or whoever will listen. And traditionally, I've done that through various online programs, digital programs, webinars, things like that. But I am moving away from actively doing that. My programs and all those things, they'll still be available, but I will not personally be doing the quote-unquote marketing of them. I have boundlessliving.com, which is our website. And as of now, you can access all sorts of free information, including meditation downloads, access to our Wealth Beyond Reason YouTube channel, just tons and tons and tons and tons of absolutely free information. Or you can check out our programs like Wealth Beyond Reason and Reinvention, and other things that we have. But soon, all of that part of it, the programs and all that stuff will be handled by another company. It'll still be Bob Doyle and my stuff, but I'm just not doing that. The way that I'll be interacting with you now is here, weekly here. It says, hey, check your direct link to your tweet because I did retweet that, but you didn't see it. Let me see. Well, all I can say is Pinky's is in here, Lynn's is in here, Marion's is in here, Sharon's is in here. I'm not sure why it didn't work. But, oh, wait a minute. Well, one thing, I'm looking at the description of this, and I told you to tweet at Bob Doyle Show instead of Bob Doyle LOA. Whereas if you click the link under it, where it says bobdoyleshow.com/tweet LOA, then it will pop up with the right. No, it doesn't. It's doing the wrong one. All right. Well, that explains that. So I guess you manually have to do it. I don't know why that's happening. I guess I got to go fix my tweet link, which means that next time I do the Bob Doyle Show, there's going to be all of these law of attraction tweets from Marion and other people who did what I said and followed the link and it's not working. So I just have to fix that. So I guess I just get to say a big never mind to all of you about the not tweeting because you were trying and it wasn't working for some reason, including Lynn. So I apologize for that. It's doing the Bob Doyle Show one. I know. I bet you I know why. Because I changed the link. No, it should be working. I don't know why it's not working. All right, enough about what's not working. If there's no more questions, I'm going to wrap this up. Okay, one more thing. It says, one more thing means there are months the LOA works for me, like with speed and flash. If something that goes very slow, I am a lot into that. Can you help me finding out something? I'm not 100% sure I answer the question. I mean, I understand the question, except if you're asking, sometimes things manifest slow and some things manifest fast. Well, that's going to generally be in proportion to how much resistance you have around receiving. If you have very little resistance, things could show up quick. If you got a little bit more to work through, it might show up a little bit slower. And also, the idea is that things show up ideally in alignment with your overall vision. And some things need to show up at a certain time for the rest of the vision to work. Like it wouldn't be appropriate for one thing to just show up right now without other things being in place in the context of your full vision. So, the best thing to do is just to not spend any time judging and assessing how quickly or slowly something is happening, because that's just your ego looking for a reason to say this isn't working. Or it's inconsistent, or it's a coincidence, or it's a fluke, or any number of those other things. Just trust the process. Trust the process. And I find that when you just do that, things happen quicker anyway, or at least they feel quicker, or they feel perfect, like this happened at the perfect time, and that's the ideal situation. Misty asks, are you doing life coaching program? I don't personally. I do coaching certification. I certify coaches to be able to teach the principles I teach. We're in the midst of a coaching certification right now. I probably won't offer another one until either later on this year or next year. I don't do any personal one-on-one coaching anymore, but my coaches do. And if you're interested in that, you can go to boundlesslivingcoaching.com. Okay, well, I guess I'm gonna wrap this up now because I think I think I've answered the questions. And where's my music? Oh, I turned it all the way down. Sorry. There. So as I send you off for the rest of your Wednesday, I hope that you have a wonderful, wonderful week filled with vision and inspiration, worthiness, and visualization, and all of those other wonderful things. Oh, you'd like to be a coach? Okay, Misty. Well, hit me up via private message. I think there's WBRcertification.com is out there, but it's not actively open right now. So anyway, and I have other alternatives for you as well if you just want to become a law of attraction or a life coach. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for spending this time with me. I always enjoy it. I will continue to be here week after week after week until somebody tells me to stop. Until then, keep on sharing and posting your questions, and I will answer them either here or on the page itself, right here on Facebook Live. Have an awesome, whatever it is that you want to be awesome today.